Okay guys, now it's time to sew it all up. Okay, so in order to sew up this bag, you simply have to assemble it, okay? So let me show you really quickly how to do that. All you have to do is spread out one of the big panels. You take one of the small panels, it's just like that. Pick the side that you prefer, you want to see, however you like it. I like this way. You simply lay it out, make sure it's nice and neat from corner to corner. Ignore the little bit of tilting in there, it's not a big deal. I use these little pins and pin them tight so they won't move while I'm doing what I'm doing, okay? Then I flip it around, make sure everything stays in place, okay? I do the exact same thing on the other side with the other color. Okay, just like that. Then I pin it again. And one more time. Okay, and now you simply, so this is now like this, just like a sandwich, right? You see that here? Okay, so now you would add the middle layer, or the bottom and the side layer right here. You just add that on top. You kind of fold it here so it's on the corner. You can see that's a loop right here. So I simply brought it down that way, and then I folded in a way that the loop went upwards, okay? And did the same thing on the other side. Make sure, you know, yarn is very stretchy, so make sure that you have it about equal. There should be about 60 stitches down here, because all of them have 60 across, so there should be 60 on here as well. Feel free to count it. It's probably better that way so that the stretch is equal. Hopefully you didn't stretch too far. Sometimes, you know, when you work around with your yarn, kind of stretch a little bit, so make sure it's not stretched. Feel free to block it first. I did not, because I know that I'm going to sew it up anyways, so I don't really care about whether it's kind of bending over or not, and because it's going to be sewn up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so once you've done that, once you put that on top and pinned it as well, then you start sewing it up. Very simple. So now just make sure that your sandwich, I'm going to call it a sandwich, kind of stays equally together. It looks like it's a little thick, but that's all right. So the top part obviously is not that thick, okay? And then obviously after you're done with this part, you're going to add the other side, right? But we'll get there. So first, let's stitch that all up. I'm gonna take this yarn that I had left over from the other one and kind of sew it in. So all I'm doing is simply sew this up. Make sure that your yarn is long enough. I kind of extended it with a Russian join. You can actually see just a little bit of it, maybe, not sure. So you simply just sew it up the way you prefer to be sewn up. Let me see, which way did I go? This way? Be sure that it's long enough. And I would go 1 stitch per row, and then on the bottom 1 stitch per stitch, obviously. Try to have it as equal as possible, though if you use it like me, you can see that the color is very neat and equal. It's about almost the same color, though one is a little lighter than the other. So consider if you're using a different yarn for a different piece. You know, if you have more extreme contrast, you might see the stitches. So if you prefer using the single crochet stitch, that's fine as well. I want to use this stitch because it reminded me of, you know, how a jeans is sewn up. So we're getting close to the big sandwich part, so I'm kind of holding that together here. So once you get a little closer, make sure everything is adjusted properly. Make sure they're all equal. Like that. And then keep on stitching, but this time you're going to go through all 4 layers. So now that it's all sewn up, as you can tell, all nicely sewn up, we can remove these pins. I actually leave these ones still in, but we're just removing the ones from the outside. Okay. So ignore that there are some strings around, we'll weave them in later. Okay, now you're going to flip it to the other side. Okay. Because now we're going to sew in the other side. Okay, so after you flipped it, right, you're going to flip this one in half. So you're going to fold this in half, even the corner, just like that. Okay, so it is flush against the edge all around. Kind of have to tweak it a little bit. So you're still gonna possibly have that little corner here that kind of points upwards. That's fine. You just want to make sure that the edge is against the edge pretty much. Okay, and now you're folding, or you're laying the side that is equal to the other side right there on top. Okay, just like that. And now we're gonna have to make sure that everything is nice and neat again, doing the same thing as we did on the other side, just putting it all together like this. Okay. And now we have to pin it down and then sew it up just like we did for the other side. So I'm gonna pin this right here, and the same on the other side. that. Okay, ignore all these yarns, don't worry. You can all weave them in later, okay? So, and then just make sure that when you go around, so this might not be big enough, but you see that it's right on the edge here. So I'm trying to go all the way through. I might not be able to. Oh, I was able to. Okay, so when you go around now and sew, make sure you only have 2 layers here in the beginning, and then it's 4 layers over here, right? So, and then you're going all the way around, just like you did for the other one. Like this, like a sandwich. And make sure the corner has 3 stitches. Like one this way, one pointing away, and then one this way, okay? All in the same stitch, so it's nice and secure. Okay, let me get my yarn, attach it to the corner here, and let's get going. Okay, let me show you now how to attach the straps of the bag. So you're going to use this 3mm cotton thread. You're going to cut it to the length of 38 inches, roughly, maybe a little longer, just to make sure. You can always cut it off in the end, right? It's supposed to be in the end about 38 inches. And it needs to be loosely hanging right above, so don't stretch this part, okay? This is stretchable. So lie it on flat without stretching it, and then you can measure it out, and then you attach it by knotting it onto the one side of the strap. You can't see it on the other side, okay? Just on one side. You do that on both sides of the straps, on all 4 straps, okay? And then you're gonna attach it to the bag, okay? So what you're gonna do is 4 inches away from the edge on both sides, okay? The inside and the outside. You're gonna attach your straps. Now, the cotton thread is right underneath and it will be hidden, so you won't see it, okay? It makes the bag strap less stretchable when you use it that way. So you can actually add a little bit more heavier stuff inside the bag, and you won't have to worry that the band or the strap stretches too far. Okay, so 4 inches on both sides, okay? That's how far it is. Now you do that on both sides, so ignore the middle part. Doesn't matter how much it is right here. You just want to make sure that it's exactly on the opposite side of this one. Okay, so let me show you now. If I now turn this, I have to make sure that I pinned it down, so I need to make sure my pins don't slide away. So you can see here, it's right on the other side. Same way here, this is 4 inches. Here, I'll show you. It's 4 inches exactly, okay? So both straps are 4 inches away from the edge, okay? Where you were sewing it together. So let me now show you what I mean by that. So now I explained it to you. So now you're going to ignore that there's already a couple straps hanging right there. We're going to attach now the other side, okay? So you're always adding, unless you want it differently, obviously. I don't know what colors you picked, but in my case, I added the opposite side of the opposite color of the strap that I used for, so here I used the copper with the light blue, and then here I'm going to use the light blue and put the copper on top, right? Just like that. So you just lay it right here. Make sure nothing is kind of twisted. Okay, so you lay it first over here. You measure it out. Make sure it is 4 inches. You line it up to have 4 inches. Make sure you line it up on the bottom. So 4 inches right there. Gonna pin it down. Make sure it doesn't slide away. And then I do the same thing on the other side, right here. 4 inches, there you go, it's already there. So just pin it down, okay, like this. So I like to pin it over here also, so just make sure it's all nice and straight. just like that, and then pin it down. Just like in a way that you have thread right between the needle parts, right? When you go through, so you're kind of holding it together. Okay, so now you have to turn it inside out, or you know, right side. Doesn't really matter because it's reversible. So just be gentle when you do that. Okay, just to make sure. Oh, this goes over here. Okay, so I'm trying to be gentle so nothing slides around. Okay, so yeah, my pins are still there. It's all good. So like that. And you're gonna put, sometimes this twists a little bit, so make sure that your thread is on one side of the strap. Okay. Like this. Put it down like that. Measure it out again. Make sure it's your 4 inches. There you go. And the same over here. 4 inches. There we go. I can kind of feel it already. It's right here. Okay. Then again, you're pinning it down. Like that. And here you make sure that it's nice together, exactly parallel to each other. And again, pin it down. There you go. Kind of put that thread in between. So you just try it out the way you need it to be. It might be a little bit more work, but it's okay. So make sure it's all straightened out. And then you use they use the back stitch, okay, to go all the way around with whatever color you prefer. In my case, I'm actually going to use a darker color. I'm going to use the darker color that I used for the, let's say the side and the bottom, okay? That's the same color for me. And I'm going to do a back stitch all the way around. So let's get started on that. Okay, here I would like to show you really quickly how to do the back stitch. Okay, so I used a contrasting color that kind of brings it out a little bit, just like some jeans are, you know, jeans pants. And I really like it that I have a darker color all the way around here for all the straps. Okay, so let me show you on this side and how to do that. So very important is that, so remember there are pins in here, so make sure you don't poke yourself. Okay, so ideally what you want to do is you're going to go through 3 layers, which will be here 1, 2, 3. Okay, but over here it would be obviously just 2. So try to ignore the one that is right behind it, because if you're going all the way through and you're attaching this at the same time, this color right here, then it might not look as good as you want it to be. So just do 1 strap at a time, even though it's already there. Okay, now once you get done with doing the round right here, so you start on one side, you do, let's say, a U shape, okay, like you see it, then you're going to stop right here, and then you're going to attach, once you have the other side attached, then you're going to attach these 2 together, okay, so that they're nice and tight together, okay, but that will be at the end. But this tutorial is just really quickly to show you how to do the back stitch. Now what I do is I attach my yarn kind of in the back right here, because it'll be hidden. I have a long piece of yarn, so I don't have to attach new yarn every time. So that's kind of how I do it. I just attach it right here. This will be tucked in and you won't even see it, okay? So what I'm going to do is go through right here. Okay, make sure. Okay. Then you hold it so thread is underneath. Okay. So you're going to go over here, and then you're pretty much always going to go back. Okay, so I did one way back, and now I'm going to go just a little bit further and then go back. You see, I'm always going back to that same way where it came in, and then I'm going to go about equal distance. That's where I'm going to come back out like this. And then you just do that all the way around on all the straps until you're finished.